Homecoming Revolution is the brain gain company for Africa. We've been around now 13 years. And the real trigger of it was that I personally lived in London for 7 years. I grew up in Johannesburg, never being proud of the colour of my skin or my flag or my country. I was at my most conscientised when Mandela was released, when I was at UCT, and then I spent 7 years living in London, thinking it would just be for a one gap year, but it turned into a 7-year stint. And I remember in the late 90s, Mandela came and spoke at the South African Embassy in Trafalgar Square, looking over all of us South Africans, and he said, "I love you all so much, want to put you in my pocket and take you home." It was this emotional moment. It was this idea of, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? I returned home to start an advertising agency, but at the same time realized that there was this perception in South Africa that if you'd come back, it was as if you couldn't hack it abroad, as if you were a failure if you came back. And so started what was then in those days a non-profit organization, which we thought would just be a little website that I'd maybe dedicate 2 hours a week to, called Homecoming Revolution, which simply told the stories of other South Africans who returned home.
So it started in South Africa. What has the traction been across the continent now?
Well, we found that the same triggers for people coming back are these emotional reasons. Number one, across the continent is friends and family, and number two is the sense of belonging. In Nigeria, you know, and Kenya, the opportunities for these innovative careers outweigh the bad bits about the infrastructure, for example, the traffic and the frustrations with electricity. But there's certainly work we're doing with the International Organization for Migration, for example, and we are seeing they are seeing with us that in the past year this avid interest in the African continent now being, you know, the final frontier on which to, you know, do really innovative stuff. So the diaspora abroad are really now interested in playing a role, whether it's about coming home immediately or investing back home or mentoring somebody back home.